Mr Deputy Speaker, I'd consider it a privilege to take part in a political landscape where democracy comes in different shapes and sizes, where it's voters' place to march in the streets and to choose who they put to this place. And the presence of non-party campaigners, charities, campaign groups and third sector add a diversity of voices and expertise to our politics, bringing overlooked issues onto the political agenda and in so doing helping us all to make better decisions. This considered, Clause 23 of this bill seems to almost incomprehensibly to anyone who values having a participative democracy or an engaged society. This clause essentially hands ministers the power to create conditions on whether certain bodies can take part in the electoral process or remove them altogether. It could be used, for instance, to bar anyone who has been in police custody from campaigning, which would take out thousands of environmental campaigners. It could even be used to create an outright ban for certain organisations, such as trade unions. Additionally, lowering the spending limit for groups to register as non-party campaigners to £700 essentially hands the government the power to disqualify any group from campaigning, while the new limitations on joint campaigning could potentially clamp down on electoral pacts. I find this somewhat ironic, given it was the party of government here who only 4 months ago were calling for just such unionist pacts in the Scottish elections. This is a piece of legislation that gives the government day power over what kind of campaigning it considers acceptable during election periods and who can campaign. It's a naked attempt to swing elections in the ruling party's favour by letting them write the rules for their own pre-election. The government or opposition parties don't have to agree with what campaigners are calling for, but we should at least accept the right to participate. Instead, by narrowing our public life and stifling what makes our politics pluralistic, this government are reading the same playbook as Orban in Hungary. Even Parliament is being attacked. Clause 23(2) explicitly ensures that this place will have no power to annul a statutory instrument that seeks to amend or remove the list of who counts as a non-party campaigner. This compounds the bill's attack on accountability, with the Electoral Commission's independence being shattered by the new requirement to conform to a strategy document written by the government, and its powers to prosecute being removed. There might seem like technical changes, but they tie into this government's broader agenda of shrinking participation in an extra-parliamentary political life until democracy is something that only happens in this place. If the government gets its way, which I have to say by the sound of it looks quite likely tonight, and considering its insistence on keeping the unfair majoritarian voting system, we'll soon be living in a society where the right to protest is severely restricted by the Policing and Crime Bill, and where the Electoral Commission is toothless, and where even the process of going to vote is complicated unnecessarily by the requirement for voter ID restrictions. It's only a few years since similar measures saw the US downgraded by Democracy Index to a flawed democracy. Is this the trajectory for this country? Is that really the government's vision for a country they make such a song and dance about and loving? A disenfranchised and disengaged electorate with nothing to protect against the insulated ruling classes fiddling the rules to stay in power. With so much of what we see from the government, it's impossible not to draw contrasts. The Scottish Government has increased the franchise to include 16 and 17-year-olds, to include asylum seekers and those serving custodial sentences with less than a year remaining. Scotland just held its most inclusive election ever, while this government seemingly advocates leaving politics to the Etonians. Mr Deputy Speaker, whenever this government takes steps to frustrate democracy, it justifies them by conjuring scenes of rampant voter fraud. This simply isn't the case, and this bill must be opposed.
Mark Fletcher.